All right, so you already know what Nina Turner does here. This is in response to comments from James Carville, who is a Democratic strategist and former advisor to Bill Clinton, of all people, who recently said, since he knows 10 times more black people than anybody else he knows, therefore he can speak for what they want in a president. Nina Turner right here is going to destroy his terrible centrist arguments.
The majority of Democrats who helped flip the House in 2018 were moderates. James Carville made the argument over the weekend that Senator Sanders isn't a Democrat, he's an ideologue, and we've got to get practical. If he is the candidate, he is not going to be able to help win over the Senate. And unless you have the Senate, if you've just got the White House, you ain't going to get nothing done.
Stephanie, does practical mean that the 89 or so million people who are uninsured or underinsured in this country continue to suffer? Does being practical mean that we don't take steps in this country to deal with climate chaos and bring world leaders to bear? Does being practical mean that we continue to prop up a legal system that is unjust in every stretch of the imagination, that bears its weight down on black men and black women, and then by extension, if you are Hispanic or indigenous or poor? Does being practical mean that we don't say to the American people that you deserve better than what you are getting? That's not the kind of practicality we want. Does practical mean that you hold fundraisers and wine caves with Swarovski crystals with billionaires who want to control this system? Does practical mean we continue to go with the status quo while 500,000 people sleep on the streets at night? That's not practicality. So with all due respect to Mr. Carville, what the American people in this country need, they need somebody that is unabashed and that has the courage and the conviction to stand up for them and to call out the rigging of this system. And that candidate is Senator Bernie Sanders.
But steps and a revolution are two different things. In order to get to a revolution, you've got to take steps. And what James Carville is saying is you've got to get to a practical place to make those changes.
Stephanie, the elites in 1930 said the same thing about FDR. And he said, I welcome your hatred. These are the same people that if the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was still alive, when he stood up before he was gunned down and he said to this country, he said the evils of this country, militarism, materialism, poverty, and racism. Those are those same people. So now if President FDR had listened to those people, or if the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King had listened to those people, we would not progress as a nation. So every generation, we got the naysayers, baby. But what the folks of this country need, they need somebody that's going to stand up for them. Senator Sanders is known as the Amendment King. He knows how to get things done. But what people need is to be able to call upon somebody that's not going to capitulate.
Senator Sanders supporters, what is their number one goal? Is it to start this revolution, or is it to defeat Donald Trump? And I ask because there's often a lot of talk around, will those supporters get behind another candidate if it's not Senator Sanders?
Stephanie, why can't we have both? You know, that same argument was made in 2016.
And a lot of those people didn't vote for
However, though,
Clinton.
Stephanie, more of Senator Sanders' supporters supported Secretary Hillary Clinton than her supporters supported then Senator Barack Obama. So let's set the record straight. People do want to defeat President Donald Trump, but they also want to know that they're going to have a fighter in the White House that's going to take it all the way, that's going to go ham on this system that has oppressed them. And so I reject, and so do the American people, the whole notion that you cannot say to a system that it must change and also push a dream and a vision that is bigger than what we have right now. Who wants somebody that's saying to the workaday people of this nation, I'm going to run for office, but you only going to get more of the same? That doesn't work. We're going to win this stuff.
All right. Well, you're certainly in it to win it. Great to see you.
All right. So the argument the MSNBC host used about revolution and taking steps, don't you need steps to get to a revolution? Like, yeah, we're following the steps right now with capitalism folding in on itself. Those are the steps to get to a revolution. If you don't stop those steps, we're going to get to a freaking revolution, and it's going to be one that's not peaceful. JFK once said, if you don't let the peaceful revolution happen, it's bound to turn violent. So, I mean, the arguments they use are terrible. They also use the debunked argument that Bernie supporters not supporting Clinton are the reason that she lost to Donald Trump. Nina Turner does an excellent job to reverse that and bring up the facts that more Bernie supporters supported Hillary than Hillary supporters supported Obama in 2008 after that terrible, toxic, very combative primary that they had that year. By the way, we won that year, and it was an aggressive primary, but they're also telling us this year to play with our kids' gloves on because apparently peaceful primaries help. But whatever. She's great. Nina Turner comes with the heat I would love to see her in a very strong position in Bernie Sanders' administration. I just love the way she attacks these MSNBC hosts, and they seem so offended when she brings up like actual stats. These media talking heads don't get it, but it's not because they can't get it or that they actually don't get it. They don't want to get it. They don't want to understand, or they don't want to give the perception that they understand what we're saying. They know it's true. They know change never happens without being radical. Change never happens incrementally. Only conformity. Conformity grows from incrementalism, and that's what we're following right now. We got to break out of that cycle. Nina Turner's help leading this charge, being a great representative of Bernie Sanders.